Hugh von Steenis with you yesterday with Oliver Wyman. When Hugh von Steenis wants to understand sanctions, there's one person he turns to. Joining us now from Oliver Wyman in Washington, Daniel Tannebaum. He's been a huge support for all of our efforts here. Just, Tannebaum 101. Dan Tannebaum, has sanctions against Russia been successful?
Well, Tom, thank you for the intro, and it was good to see Hugh on yesterday. I think sanctions on Russia have played a role, but I think the challenge we've seen, particularly since Trump has taken office again, is the U.S. really hasn't been driving on sanctions policy much at all. When I talk to my clients in the European Union, in the UK government, they're really not getting the same level of engagement. So without the continued usage of sanctions and then the enforcement of them for those who would violate them, it is hard to say that they're actually effective.
So, Daniel, you're down in Washington, D.C., the IMF meetings here. What are our trading partners telling you about kind of where they think the next hours will be, days will be, and weeks and months?
Well, I mean, we talked about this at Davos. Cautious optimism, I think, has shifted into just pure fatigue at this point. I think we saw, the market spikes over the last few days with the announcements related to China, but my anticipation last night was we hadn't heard from China, and obviously we did overnight, and their reaction was we're not actually talking. So everyone's really looking for smooth air, for some degree of a clear path forward, and I just don't think we're seeing that yet.
Dan, at George Washington University a few years ago, you took the course. This is brutal. You think you're going to go in and get an A. Tannebaum was lucky, got out with a C+. Negotiation 302. Dan Tannebaum, when President Trump says he's negotiating, is he negotiating?
Well, that's the question. I mean, there are certainly some talks going on bilaterally with different trading partners post-Liberation Day, but China's made very clear we don't know what you're talking about, and that is a bit of the question right now of where is this discussion happening. Some countries are certainly having them, but remember, all of these deals in 90 days was always going to be a tall order, and China's the one that probably requires the most attention, more so than anyone.
So, Daniel, are we literally going to be trying to negotiate 70-odd trading negotiations and deals and all that kind of stuff? Is that our strategy?
If you're to listen to people like Peter Navarro, yes, because we're not doing this in any sort of block form. These are really one-off trade deals where we had kind of broader alliances where you could impose trade on a broader scale. So that does seem like what may happen. I hope there'll be broader blocks that come in for some of the discussions with USTR and other parts of the government, but that is a bit of the question at this point of how they're going to navigate all of these.
Now, Dan Tannebaum, I want to come back to that, the discussion of Dr. Navarro, with some real criticism, I would say, within the zeitgeist of Dr. Navarro. And Paul, would you say he's been sidelined the last week or two?
I certainly have not seen him as much as we had originally.
I could never see Dan Tannebaum sidelined.
No, of course not.
Mr. Tannebaum's going to stay with us with Oliver Wyman here as we get this key claims data out here. We say good morning to all of you across the nation on your commute. The kept goods orders and non-defense extra, they come in and they're a little, I'm going to call them a little shaky as well. And claims are spot on survey. Once again, Michael McKee absolutely nailing it that DOGE doesn't have much to do with claims because claims come in post-severance. We have a 222,000 statistic, a non-revision as well. So pretty much quiescent claims here is somebody waits the cracking of the job economy. All of our economic data, our study of it, including Michigan sentiment tomorrow, up on a lot of housing data next week. It's brought to you by Commonwealth. Join over 2,000 independent financial advisors. They're taking control of their growth with advisor-centric support and future-ready technologies. Grow on your own terms with a partner dedicated to your success. Go to commonwealth.com to learn how. We're going to jump back to Dan Tannebaum with Oliver Wyman. His claims came in quietly, a non-event. Dan Tannebaum, just the summation of all the corporate officers you talk to, they're talking to you about sanctions. What are you listening for from corporate America?
Well, they're not just talking to me about sanctions. We're spending a lot of time talking about broader trade policy. And right now, the question that people are asking, even though they know the answer they're going to get, is where do we go from here? And I think that is the real question. People are craving, the market is craving some degree of a clear path forward, whether it's more broadly on trade. I mean, the topic of Russia-Ukraine, admittedly, it's been very quiet here in Washington this week on the topic, despite the fact that there were 9 more people killed in an attack on Kyiv last night. And the U.S. is busy trying to put pressure on the Ukrainians for a deal and not the Russians, who are the one firing the missiles into Ukraine. So it is a bit of an odd time at the moment, but I think a lot of companies are standing by waiting for some degree of a clear path forward. We're going back and forth so quickly now.
I mean, this is really, really interesting. And of course, here's the tweet from President Trump as he listens to Dan Tannebaum. I am not happy with the Russian strikes on Kyiv, not necessary and very bad timing. Vladimir, all caps, stop, exclamation point. 5,000 soldiers a week are dying. Let's get the peace deal done. Dan, that wasn't in your textbooks at George Washington. I mean, this, I'm going to go back to Angry Beavers. I mean, that's where I learned my international relations. Dan Tannebaum, this is nuts. We had a Palm Sunday set of murders. We had the missile attacks last night in the heart of Kyiv. Why are we doing this, Dan Tannebaum?
Well, and it's wonderful. The president was pissed at Putin a few weeks ago. I think we saw that on one of the Sunday morning shows. But he needs to actually take action against Russia. There have been 2 major moves that the U.S. has made on Russia since Trump has taken office again. One was by quietly extending Biden-era Russia sanctions a week and a half ago with little fanfare. The other was actually by not doing something and letting an energy waiver expire to ban the trading or financing of Russian energy. But the president needs to be more active on actually using the considerable power that the U.S. government has to put more pressure on Russia and those supporting it.
Mr. Tannebaum, really honored to have you here as we get that tweet from the President of the United States. Daniel Tannebaum is with Oliver Wyman.